Hi, my name is Lindsay Copperthwaite, and I'm with Abacus Payroll. And today I have with me Lou Shodoff, who is a partner at Ballard Spahr, and he is in the Labor and Employment Group at the New Jersey office. So today we're going to be going over vaccines and what employers can mandate and can't mandate and what that looks like. So I'm going to start off with, can employers mandate vaccines, Lou?
Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So that's actually an easy question. You won't get many easy questions in this area, but the answer to that is yes. Employers can mandate that their employees get vaccinated. Now, there are two notable exceptions to that requirement. If an employee has a medical condition or disability that would require that they not get the vaccine, that is an exemption from the mandate that an employer can impose. The second exemption is for a sincerely held religious belief. So if an employee comes forward with a sincerely held religious belief against getting vaccinated, those are the two recognized exemptions. Now, once an employee comes forward with one of his exemptions or requests for an exemption, and to be accommodated, the employer's got to engage in the interactive process of discussing what a possible accommodation may look like for the employee who's asking for the exemption. So, for example, the request for an exemption may be that I get to continue working remotely, or the employer has to provide separate workspace for the unvaccinated people that have the exemptions, or the employer has to provide more PPE to those employees, or they get regular testing. So the short answer is yes, an employer can mandate, but there are two notable exemptions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. And so what happens though if an employee doesn't get one of the exemptions, but they actually won't get the vaccine? What does that look like? And can they get fired?
Okay, another relatively easy question. The answer is, assuming that the employee is just saying, I don't want to get vaccinated because I don't want to get vaccinated, and they're not coming forward requesting one of the two exemptions, the employer can absolutely tell the employee, you're either going to get vaccinated or you don't work here anymore. So yes, the employee can be terminated in that situation. Again, if they're not seeking one of the two exemptions for the disability or for the sincerely held religious belief, and they're just saying, I'm not going to get vaccinated because I don't believe in it, the employer can certainly say, yes, you are, or you will be terminated.
Okay, so if an employer mandates the vaccine, do they have to pay the employee while the employee is going to get the vaccination?
Okay, so there's in two different situations. Let's say, I have a number of healthcare clients that actually will either do the vaccines on their own, or they bring in a third party to the nursing home or the hospital to do these kind of clinics where they can bring people while they're at work to get vaccinated. So clearly in that situation, if the employee is getting vaccinated while they're at work during their working hours, then yes, it's going to be compensable work time. There is an issue as to whether the employer says, you work 9 to 5, Lindsay, you have to get vaccinated either before you clock in at 9 or after you clock out at 5 o'clock, or on the weekend if you don't work the weekend. And there's an issue about whether that time would be considered compensable work time. The Department of Labor, the U.S. Department of Labor really hasn't come out with a position on that, although under the FLSA, there are regulations that say basically that if you're requiring some type of specific testing or other type of requirement for the job, and that takes time to do that, then those special requirements or tests or physical exams, things of that nature that you get done outside of your working hours should be considered compensable work time. And I think with employers that mandate the vaccine, that it's going to more than likely fall under that particular regulation, particularly in New Jersey, where I think they're more liberal with regard to these things. So I think the better practice is that if you are requiring your employees to get vaccinated, and you're not giving the vaccination to the employees at work while they're on the clock, that yes, you should compensate them as compensable work time for the time they spend going to getting the vaccine and coming back from the vaccine.
Okay, awesome.
Now, I will say that if you're not mandating the vaccine, but you're just saying, hey, everybody should get vaccinated, and the employee gets vaccinated under those circumstances on their own time, then it wouldn't be compensable work time because the employer is not mandating that as a requirement for the job.
Okay. So basically just if they're saying, yes, you have to get it done for the job, you should be actually paying for them for the time they have to do it, if it's outside of the regular hours.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. So then the one last one I had is if an employee does refuse the vaccine, can they be mandated to take the test frequently? And how does that look?
So going back to the first answer, when the question was, can you mandate vaccines? And the answer is yes, with the two notable exemptions. If an employer does fit within one of those two exemptions, then again, the employer's got to engage in this interactive process and trying to come up with an accommodation for the employee who has one of those exemptions. And one of the accommodations, as I mentioned, could be working remotely, having separate workspace, providing more PPE to the employee. Mm-hmm. And another one of the accommodations could be that, yes, I'm going to allow you to come back to the workplace unvaccinated because you have one of these exemptions. You got to wear a mask, you got to wear a face shield, but you also have to be subject to regular COVID testing, whether that's once a week or twice a week. So yes, that could absolutely be one of the accommodations that the employer could give to the employee who has one of the exemptions.
So those are the questions that I have and I've come across with a lot of our business owners. Is there anything else that you've come across that you think is important for business owners to know about the vaccine and mandating it?
Well, one issue that's kind of coming to the fore now with more and more employers, I'll say two issues, one a legal issue and one a more practical issue. The legal issue that's cropping up is, again, if you have a number of employees that are applying for one of these exemptions, let's say, and you're a particularly smaller employer, and as part of that, you want to require that the employees get regular COVID testing. Mm-hmm. I've heard anywhere from $30 to $100 for each of these tests. So you could imagine that if I have 40 employees that have one of these exemptions and they're getting tested twice a week, the cost can be significant pretty quickly. And there are, and I'll leave this to my benefit attorney folks, but there are employers out there, and I've seen some universities do it, that are imposing a surcharge on an employee's health insurance to kind of pay for this extra cost of the added testing. So that's one issue I see coming down the pike. Mm-hmm. And a practical issue I see as more and more employers are considering mandating vaccinations is, okay, yes, the law allows me to mandate the vaccines, but should I mandate the vaccines? Because as we've seen in the public at large, there is a very strong dissenting group of people, i.e. employees, that just will not get vaccinated. Employers have tried incentives to try to get employees to get vaccinated, but there's still a very significant pocket of employees that just will not get vaccinated. And they are willing to lose their job over it. So I've had employers decide, well, can I afford to lose 10% of my workforce if I mandate vaccines? And people say, you know what, I'm not getting vaccinated, I'm going to leave. So that's a real practical issue that employers need to think about, whether, yes, you can legally mandate it, but what is going to be the ripple effect of that decision? Am I going to lose significant employees, and how will I backfill those positions?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I didn't even think of that one. Like the people that won't do it and they just lose them. So
they just lose them. Right. And now you have to replace 8 employees, 10 employees, mm-hmm. whatever the number is, could be a significant undertaking for a smaller employer.
Yeah. And especially in this atmosphere right now where it's very hard to find employees as it is.
Exactly.
And employees that will also be okay to get mandated. So
yes.
It's a lot of good points. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time today, Lou, to talk about this. This is a huge subject that, I know we both are dealing with in our different positions. So I appreciate it. If we have any business owners that would like to reach out to you to get some more guidance, I can put your name and information at the end of the video.
Loved it. Absolutely. Love to field some questions from some folks.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it.